This is the Speakeasy podcast where we go behind the scenes and give you the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to being the professionally paid speaker and author. With that being said, I am your host, Alcides Pelzer, the voice coach, founder of the World Voice League, a virtual community of female speakers coming together to impact social change. Now, I know you saw the title. Your words have power. They have a lot of power. But I think we forget that sometimes, even though our words have power, we need somebody to tell us just how to maneuver it. For instance, you have a lawnmower. Now that's great, and you could cut along with that if you know how to turn the lawnmower on. If you know where to put the gas in the lawnmower. If you know how to fix it when something is wrong with it. Or you know how to connect with the right people that can put you in position to do that. Because guess what? Having the lawnmower means it's great. But if it's just sitting in your garage, then it's not really being of use to you. And a lot of times we don't realize that our words and the things that can be best for our business when it comes to the words that we're speaking, or most importantly in this episode, the words that we're writing down on paper, or maybe that you have not written down on paper just yet, are really, really valuable. And that's why I'm so excited to have our guest that's on for today. Hello, Miss Karen.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited because this is a piece of business that, I'm just going to be honest, I suck at. Why it was never something that was really explained when starting a business, that this was something that was really important, as well as, let's just be honest, with with social media, we have access to all of these people and access to all of this stuff, and it's like fast money and all of that, but we leave ourselves out like just dangling by our toenails. We really do. And so I want you to introduce yourself to the studio audience, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Karen Mills, and I am the managing member of the woman-owned boutique law firm, Mills Law LLC, which is based here in Atlanta, Georgia. We do everything from helping you form the entity to selling the entity, and a lot in between. And a lot in between is usually contract review, negotiation, and drafting. I've been practicing law now for, I guess, about 20 years this year, actually. And prior to starting going to law school, I worked as an electrical engineer. So I have an electrical engineering degree and became a professional engineer. And thereafter, I quit and ended up going to law school. So I've been practicing law now, like I said, for 20 years and doing some corporate transactional contracts and business law area. Now, one of the things, because I'm excited to be here today to talk about some various things that impact, but I also have to make sure to let you know all of the information that I'm providing today is just some simple guidance. It does not replace you engaging your own legal professional so that you can get your own legal advice, because what I'm giving you today is just some suggestions and some information for you to use, but not anything to where we're going to create an attorney-client relationship.
So if you didn't know, this is not Wikipedia for law. That's not what this is. This is not Google for law. I need you to take the information that you get now, and I need you to connect with the right person that is going to guide you in that direction, because a lot of times, and we've gotten to this, because we're savvy, we're smart. We'll go and Google the form that we need, but we kind of set ourselves up because we really don't know what that form really can set us up for or tear us apart with, or so let's talk about that. Let's start there, because we've gotten into this age of, I'll just Google the form. I don't really need a lawyer.
Right. And the internet is great. It can provide great resources, great tools, but at the end of the day, you need to know exactly what it is that you're signing and you're entering into, what kind of contract. And what happens is, I'm an adjunct professor over at Emory Law School. I teach contract drafting. And one of the things that I try to make sure to stress to the students is that every word counts in a contract. I say, if you have a client that comes in and they want you to review, oh, I only want you to look at maybe sections 3 and sections 5, I tell them no way, because it could be other terms and conditions in that contract that are outside of section 3 and 5 or 3 and 6 that you will need to know about. So that's why every word counts in a contract, and you need to review it from beginning to end to understand how it all works together. You need to know every term because it can impact everything. We're good. What we'll do is we'll get the contract and we'll maybe look at the amount so we can make sure, oh yeah, they told us we were going to get paid $5,000. Okay, that's fine. And you might look at the term, see if it's a 3-month term, and that's about it. But all of those other contract terms and conditions are very important because they could cause all kinds, impact you in all kinds of ways. So you definitely need to understand every term in the contract.
So I'm going to give myself a slap on the wrist, a slap on the hand, because I know me personally, that was where I was, is that I thought that, you could just create it, or you could just copy what someone else had, not necessarily looking at the end result. And most people in the speaking industry, as an author, as an entrepreneur, that first 5 years, you're not even looking at contracts. You're not even looking at having these because they're real documents. Not understanding that, not having them, you're leaving yourself open for all of these different things that could happen.
Right. That's exactly right. And my thing is, don't sell yourself short. One thing that gets me about small business owners, we want to say, oh, we're small, or it's just me. Contracts and arrangements that you're entering into, it could still have large risk, even if it's only you. Why not come to the table with your own contract? Let me tell you, that would set you apart from others that they probably deal with. When people come, and it's amazing to me that when you get a client and you review their agreement for them, and then you provide all these comments and they send it back to the other side, they are looked at totally different when they do that. Versus here is a complex document that's typically one side in favor of the person or the entity giving it to you, right? And it should be. My thing is, the one who is providing the contract, you get that edge. You'll be able to give that contract in the form that is going to be best and most beneficial to you. It's up to that party that is reviewing it to be able to tell you what's problematic about it. It kills me when people think, oh, the other side should tell me what's problematic about their contract. Please, that's not going to happen. That's up to you to be a prudent business person, and you need to review it or have it reviewed so that you'll know what is going to be problematic for you. It's not their job to do that, and that it kills me when people think that it's the other side's responsibility. It's not. It's your responsibility. You are the one supposed to review that.
Now, you just hit on a really soft spot right there, because many people, no matter what the contract is, they do not read the contract until stuff hits the fan.
Right. That happens all the time. It's like, you can tell me what section 5 says after the fact when things go wrong, but before you enter into it, you can't tell me what's in section 5. No. My thing is, I want you to know everything in that contract before you sign it, right? Because my thing is, know how to get out of it before you ever enter into it. People look like, are you talking about getting out of it? And we hadn't started. Yes, because that way, if parties are on one accord, you want the breakup or however the departure to be amicable, right? And you try to do that the best you can to put these things up front so we're all on one accord, that if this doesn't work out, this is what's going to happen. This is why this agreement is going to terminate. I might get my money back. We just figure out all those things on the front end before they occur, because then we all know about it. It's all good. What happens is when there's nothing in place and then parties they're just angry at each other. And let me tell you, when you get two angry parties, you never get them to agree, really, not at all. So it's best to try to think about these things up front.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, how many speakers go into events without having contracts? How many speakers, or they take on whatever it is that the event host says is gold, that, you know, that's their word. We're standing on their word of what's going to happen, and then the event doesn't happen. So where does your money go? So, you know, something else doesn't happen. Or even when it comes to coaching, because a lot of times as speakers, we are also coaches. And so what happens when stuff hits the fan and you can't make it to coach? You can't make it to a class. What happens for that client? None of that is really being set in stone ahead of time. And it's just all kind of up in the air. And it's interesting because I guess at this point, we're kind of looking at it now like, oh, you know, we got time to get all that in order. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it at the moment. And I just feel like, no, it's coming to a head and it's about to get really bad.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you want to be proactive. Why wait, right? I mean, my thing is, if you can, you and the other party, I say always with contracts, what the party, those two parties or however many parties decide they want it to be in the contract, right? It's what you decide. And it's making sure that you're all clear as to who is doing what, who has what responsibilities. And then if something doesn't occur, why not let's try to put out those scenarios right there and we address them in that contract so we'll all be on one accord about it. We're on one accord about the payment terms, right? We all understand how that works and whether any deposits are going to be required, and if something doesn't occur, do you get that money back, or what's going to happen with that? When is it going to be paid out? How is it going to be paid out? Am I going to be doing this for how many times? So what is going to be the term of the agreement so we all can be on one accord about that? Are we going to have any automatic renewals regarding it? You know, because it may be such that everything was so good and they had you for a year's time period, they may want to just renew it, do an automatic renewal. You know, we might have that in the contract. Or for the parties to decide so many days before, like, well, you know what, 30 days before the end of the term, we might decide that, you know, we want to renew at that point, and you can do that if you have that in writing. Think about, you know, what happens if you think about these things, because stuff happens, right? And you want to know what will happen if this occurs. If this event does not occur, and mind you, you have set aside your time this particular day, and that meant you excluded everybody else and you turned down all of those other offers, what is it and how is it that you want to be compensated for that time and effort put into it? Because you could have been working on that presentation all that time, and then they may let you know what a week beforehand. Well, at that point, what value does your time and all your effort have? And you need to be thinking about that on the front end, right? Because I don't know about you, but I like to choose what I'm going to do pro bono work for, right? Or who I'm going. You don't choose pro bono work for me. I choose that. And so those are kinds of things that you might want to address in your contract so that everybody can be on one accord. Because to me, it just goes so much smoother when everybody knows this is how we're going to do, and if things go wrong, this is how. These are the outcomes and the consequences of it. Why not have those things on the front end? And to me, it just helps you be more of a prudent business person by thinking about these things. So don't be intimidated if you have your contract. It doesn't have to be a long contract, but it's something for you to present to the other party when you are talking to them about fee. And I'm telling you, that's going to set you apart from other people and other speakers that they may encounter.
Ooh-wee. Man, oh man. With everything that I think that we've had going on there's so many, and I guess when you're coming into the industry, you don't necessarily hear all of these horror stories of, you know, people getting you to speak at an event and the event changing or them canceling the event. But this is real. This is actually what's going on behind the scenes, is that, or you'll have to pay an investment to be a speaker at an event. What does that cover? What does that cost really cover? And if the event doesn't happen, now what? But most times when people make that investment, they're kind of taking the person at their word.
Yeah. And that's, I always say, trust but verify, right? My thing is, and we're good at saying, Oh, I just want to work on a handshake. Really? Let me tell you something. Anybody of integrity never has a problem putting what they say in writing. Always remember that anybody of integrity never has a problem putting what they say in writing. When somebody is hesitant to put something in writing, that ought to be a red flag for you to think, wait a minute, why is it that they are skeptical of putting something in writing? That makes me think, okay, something, you don't know how they've treated others in the past or how they plan to treat you. But if they say, I'm a person of my word, put it in writing. That way we're all on one accord about it.
Oh my goodness, that just set a fire onto somebody. I know somebody got their butt burnt on that one. Somebody got their butt burnt on that one. And again, it's because we've gotten into this era of technology and everything's so easy and we can find everything on Google. And man, listen, if this is something that you want to sustain and go far after you've been doing this, and granted, don't get me wrong, those of you that are listening, as speakers, Les Brown still does free events and Lisa Nichols still does free events. Oprah still does free events. Don't get me wrong that there's not those who go and speak for free, but there's always something else going on. And, there's opportunities for them to sell from the stage. And even moments like that, there still needs to be a contract involved.
Exactly. And also keep in mind with that, because while they're choosing which free items that are free speaking, there are plenty where they are getting paid, right? Exactly. And my thing is you have a balance in between, because there are things that you're going to do that, hey, okay, this is gratis. I am not charging for it. But also, my thing is, even if you decide not to charge cash or receive cash for it, there are other things. Maybe you can use them, you can put them on your website. You can do all these extra things, these other things that you may be able to barter with. Why not put that in writing as well, right? You don't necessarily, that doesn't always mean that you have to receive cash, right? You can receive other things that may be comparable to it, that if you all on one accord about it, who knows what kinds of advertisements that you might be able to do or be able to use that company's name in some way, and so long as, of course, that they are okay with it. But why not put that in writing? That way you can all be on one accord about
it. There's no guesswork in it. Take
the
guesswork out.
Exactly, because you don't want to think, well, I thought it was my understanding they said X and they were thinking Y, and you don't have anything in writing regarding it. So to me, it just helps you keep things. And you know what? Contracts also promote consistency, right? Because it helps you that, hey, you know what? It was an organization that I remember I spoke to, maybe 2 years ago about the same size. Let me see what it is that I offered to them. And you go back, you look at your contract, and it can help you put something in place for these folk as well. So it allows for consistency and just allows for the parties, because I don't know about you, but lots of times I have agreement amnesia. When someone calls me and they start rattling off about a contract, I have to stop them, like, wait a minute. Let me pull your contract, right? Because I need to see it, have it in front of me, because I do, thousands of contracts. I can't remember what's in each and every one of them, because remember, every word counts in a contract. So I can't be talking off the top of my head. I need to have the actual agreement in front of me. Like even when I have clients wanting me to review a contract, I need the signed, the fully executed copy to review, because I don't want one that could have been version 1 when you are version 13, right? Because there's lots of changes that could occur between 1 and 13. So I need that fully executed final version. That's what I want to review, because otherwise it's going to be costly to you, because that means I've reviewed version 1, which wasn't even correct, and now I'm having to review this. So you want to make sure that you have that. Please, please, please get a fully executed copy of whatever it is that you sign. If it's one where both parties have it, you need your signed copy and theirs as well. It kills me how people are like, well, I have mine, the part that I signed, and it's like, wait a minute, what about the other side? Because I'm like, and especially if it's at the point where you two it's not amicable, and you think you're going to be able to call them up and say, send me your signed, no. So make sure at the time you execute it, you both have a fully executed copy, so that you'll have it in your file.
So very true. So then what I want to ask the next question is, where do they start? So someone who they may have been doing business for a couple of years and they have clients, they have memberships, and they're just like, okay, now I'm hearing this and I'm freaking out. Where do I start?
Well, what I would say is, one, you always can Google, but I always like reach out to an attorney. That's what I say, and just start the conversation, because people are like, well, how did it? You just start a conversation. We have consultation sessions. Sometimes, I do free consultation sessions. A lot of times on the phone, maybe 30-minute free consultations. Sometimes I'm partnered up with organizations that will also pay for in-office consultation sessions. So it's just kind of you doing some research and see. But each attorney has its own practice of how it wants to handle, dealing with new clients. But I like start now. And my thing is, I say form a relationship with an attorney before you need, right? Because I'll get somebody that'll call me on a Friday saying, hey, I need to have this contract signed by Monday morning. I'm like, good luck with that. Right? Because I don't know, I don't know you, and we're just starting out. And see that you don't wait until the last minute, right? Because there are other clients, there are other things that we have in place. They want to call us the bottleneck, they want to call us that we hold up. No, we have different clients, and you're typically the only client that we're working on a matter with. So we have to make sure that we have the proper time to be able to properly do. And imagine now, I know I have clients that may have some rush projects, but usually those are few and far between. But because we have that kind of relationship, yeah, they could call me on a Friday saying, hey, I just got this in hand today. They say we need it here. And it has to be something very rushed, because see, I'm also cautious and want to make sure that my clients know if somebody gives you a contract on Thursday and say you must sign it by Friday morning, that's a red flag right there. Because a prudent business person knows that you need time to review it, and especially if you have a lawyer, you're going to have time to send it over to them for review. So if someone is pressuring you to sign something like that, that ought to be a red flag to you that something may not be good with this particular one working with that individual, and that there may be something wrong with that particular contract that may not be of benefit to you.
It's okay to give the contract the side eye. Please believe
yes.
It is okay.
That's right. That's it. And that's your job. And that's what you should be doing, is looking at it to see how it is problematic to you. I tell my clients, it's my job to point out to you what risks there are. At the end of the day, you sign this contract and you're taking on this risk. And if you're okay with the risk, I'm good with it. I just want to make sure you know what you're entering into.
So now, I always ask this question of every guest that comes on. In this journey that you've been doing for the last few years, have you had any blunders, moments where you were like, maybe I shouldn't have did that, or maybe I shouldn't have been, that person's lawyer, or you don't have to be specific.
Oh, yes. I laugh because I have fired some clients, right? So I was like, I fire clients. You have to realize it's all money is not good money. And it's one that I just recently did, and you have to laugh about it, because not only had I spoken with this young lady on previous occasions, given lots of quote unquote free advice, and then she said she was finally ready to engage my firm to assist with drafting of some agreement. So I provided her what the cost would be. Then I get an email back, well, I reviewed, compared with so many other attorneys, and it should be this amount. So I was like, okay, thank you, and I'm like, hello, miss, I hope you're well. And I said, please feel free to use those other attorneys. And good luck, right? Because I know my value, and I am not about to, because when you have clients like that, if they're nickeling and diming you on the front end, it's only going to get worse, right? So that's when I realized, because what you also have to understand is an attorney should be your trusted advisor, right? And if you don't trust them, you keep looking until you find one who you do trust, because there are thousands of us out here, right? And not only that, I try to also add value to my clients. So if there are events and other things that I know about, I'm trying to make sure they know about it, because it could be something where they could get business. So it's not just like it's a one-way street with this, right? It should be a mutually beneficial relationship. And there are times when it's not going to be like that, and that's when it's not worth it. And all money is definitely not good money.
That's it right there. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting because I guess, and this is the other thing. So when we come to you, it's usually after we've watched some type of movie and or done research online, and we just think that we know it all. We got it all. We got the whole degree in 30 minutes of being on Google.
Right.
And that's just not right.
That's not right. No, it's not. And my thing is 20 years in and I'm still learning, right? I specialize in the corporate transactional area. I don't do employment law. I don't do intellectual property law. I don't do litigation. There are so many areas of law that I don't practice. However, I have great colleagues who I have business relationships with who I can refer you to, right? I stay in my lane. When you see an attorney that has like 20 different things they do, that works good for Matlock and all these folks on TV. But my thing is in real life, unless it's a big law firm that it can have that many different practice areas, a single individual cannot do all of that, right? So what you have to be cautious of is the fact that somebody may be experimenting on your dime. You want someone that is specializing in a particular area because that means they're familiar with that law and that they can help you and it can do things in just a more expedient way than trying to have somebody get up to speed with certain things.
Woo, and we definitely don't want somebody experimenting on our dime. Look at that.
Right.
Oh my goodness, this conversation is phenomenal simply because I know, knowing from this side of it and dealing with coaches and authors and speakers that did not have contracts, knowing from my perspective and not having contracts in my own and what that has meant for my business and brand, it's like, why isn't this something that we already know ahead of time? Why isn't this something that we're moving forward with? And it's most of the time it's because we're trying to be solopreneurs and we're trying to handle it all on our own. And no, you're not the lawyer for your business.
Right. Yeah. And my thing is you have to have a team. You have to have a team. I mean, the team from your accounting people to your marketing people to the legal. I mean, because we have to understand what your gifts and talents are in, right? And I don't try to do everything else. And that's one of the things I've had to learn the hard way as well. I can't do everything. I need somebody to assist me with certain things because why should I end up having to try to recreate the wheel when it's someone who knows this already? Why not give it to them and they can just rattle off 2 or 3 things for you very quickly while we're sitting here trying to read the book and not understanding and then still messing a lot of stuff up. My thing is pay someone. And to me, it's so worth it because you'll have to understand that it's a lot of other small and solo practitioners out here who we have big firm experience, but it's now we're just out here on our own. And so my thing is we know how the big firm operates and we were trained at the big firm, so we think like the big firm. We just aren't at the big firms now. We have our own firms and that we're able to charge the rates that we want to charge, right? And my thing is I'm a small business owner. So I know there are things that I can't afford. So I try to be sensitive to that with respect to my clients as well. Because one, it's just me. So I don't have time to create work for myself, right? So I'm not thinking about all these extra things to do. What I'm thinking, once we have a consultation session, I'm trying to figure out what are your pressing needs and are those some things that I can assist you with? And if so, then I will, if you want to engage me. But if there are things that, an issue that may be related to employees, I'm telling you, I don't do employment law, but let me get you to an employment lawyer, right? Because my thing is I want to make sure you have a good, solid legal foundation, and you do that by having the right people on your team to be able to help you legally.
That is so very important. It is. There is no one person that knows how to do everything. And please make sure that when you are signing someone on and it comes to your business, that you're having a conversation first.
That's right. That is exactly right. Always, I know lots of times people get intimidated by attorneys. Like, we're all just regular people. You just start, and if you're talking to someone that you don't feel comfortable with, then that isn't the attorney for you. There are attorneys out here who can make you feel comfortable and that you should be able to trust and that you do want to have a relationship with. So don't give up if you have a bad experience with one or two, because there are some good ones out here.
Yes, don't be a Sour Patch. Don't do
it. That's right. Exactly. That's
So
right.
I want you to let them know how they can get in contact with you for more information and where to find you at on social media.
Okay, I'm horrible when it comes to social media. I'm on LinkedIn, okay? I have a website, and the website is www.millslawllc.com. That's MILLSLAWLLC.com. So that's millslawllc.com. My phone number is 770-933-6275. Again, that's 770-933-6275. So you can reach out to me that way as well. And then my email address is karen.mills@millslawllc.com. So it's Karen, Karen, .mills @millslawllc.com. And usually you're going to get me. You're not going to get you might have the receptionist who will transfer you to me, but usually I'm going to be the one that will talk to you, and I'm also the one where you'll schedule the consultation session with.
I love it. I definitely love it. Guys, this is why I bring you the variety of guests, is because when we think about becoming the successfully paid speaker and author, I know a lot of times we're scared to put money out into things like, okay, paying for a lawyer and but this is how you keep your money in the long run. This is how you make sure that you get your money in the end, and that you're not scammed out of money, that you're not going and being paid less than what you should be paid, is having someone who can give you that advice, having someone that can look over your contracts. Because if not, then you're setting yourself up to get paid less, because people in your program earlier than what they were supposed to end. And you had already calculated for them to be there for a certain length of time. So you definitely have to make sure that this is a key element, an important piece that you're adding into your business. Because again, as I always tell you guys, as an author, as a speaker, you are still an entrepreneur as well. And so you have to look at everything you're doing as the author or speaker as a business. And if you don't look at it as a business, this is a hobby, an expensive hobby. And I don't think you want that. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you. Let us know how this particular episode resonated with you. Give us a review over on iTunes by going to bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show, all lowercase. We would definitely like to learn more about you as well. So make sure that you come back and talk to us and shout us out when you can. With that being said, I'm your host, Altavi Spelzer, the voice coach. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.